Has anybody else been like super hyped for this meeting for like a week, and now that they're there, just
Yeah.
like, oh,
Like, oh, hold on.
Everyone's together now. It's like one big happy family.
You're either
I'm
hyped
pretty
by
sure-
my meetings or you can turn your badge in. I
Damn
want to
it.
see hashtag
Okay.
hype in all of your fucking names.
I literally started
Alright, let's do
crying
it.
when it was not last Friday. I was like, no.
Oh boy.
You guys got these poor officers. They're sitting down.
Well, how it looks like me and Batman are the only ones not getting
All right,
fired.
the rest
Okay,
of you
and
fired.
Bubbles.
Yeah,
Having
probably.
This week instead of last week was super inconvenient because I'm sitting at work and all my coworkers are staring at me right now.
Well, tell your coworkers to go suck my dick.
Tell him so.
Oh, right.
You tell
I
him.
might get no balls.
Wow. Man.
Oh yeah, that's
So they
hard.
said that you can suck dicks.
There you go.
Deal.
Someone bring the fireball.
That's it. Bothers me that there's a 0 before your 3.
Is Banger not here to serenade us?
Is he
Ah.
seriously
Let me see if he's on
not?
Steam.
Oh. What?
I was looking forward to Suicide is Painless or something before we started here.
Somebody tell a
Wow.
joke. Somebody tell a joke.
Now we-
Right?
Your
We
mom's
need
painless.
something.
Alright,
So-
alright. I got
Guy
one.
walked
My
into a
life.
bar.
All right. All right. So there's this guy about to get married, and he's sitting down with the family, and they all leave. And he's always had a thing for his bride-to-be sister. His bride-to-be sister's hot. He's always wanted her, and it's been so hard for him to resist. And finally, one day, he catches himself alone with her, and so he's in this house with her, and she finally turns and out of nowhere comes on to him and says, "I've wanted you all this time. I must have you, and I need you." And goes on for a minute, and he stops and he pauses for a moment, and he stands up and he gets up and he leaves. He walks straight out the front door of the house. And when he walks out the front door, his bride-to-be says, "Oh my God, you passed the test. You passed the test."
Can I say the motto?
Yeah, you can say the
The
motto.
motto of the story is okay.
Hang on. So she goes, "You passed the test. You can be my husband. I'm so proud of you for not giving in." And the motto is,
Always keep your condoms in the car.
Oh.
Alright, I got one.
Alright,
I got a
here you
joke.
go.
That picture is Barbossa's girlfriend.
Alright, so
here we
my
go.
dad told me that there's one thing that always sticks with kids and adults no matter how old they are. That's
Napalm.
napalm. Yep.
Oh man.
There's
Alright, guys.
actually an army
I got-
cadence that
I got a
starts
quick
with
one.
napalm sticks to kids.
I got a quick one for you guys.
That's
I
great.
think
Why?
My life is the funniest joke here. So
Yeah, why was the baby ant confused?
Why?
Because all of his uncles were ants.
I
got a Mary joke for you guys.
Howie, she says you can suck a dick.
Sheep can talk?
That was the best. That
Oh my
was
God,
the
that was
best.
good. Okay. All right. Are we ready to get started?
Yes.
let's go.
Okay. All right. Let me pull it up here. Okay. So we have a lot to cover. We want to answer everybody's questions too. There's always a lot of confusion. Everyone wants stuff clarified. Let's get the complaints out of the way. We haven't had a lot of complaints, to be honest. Howie's kind of going into the withdrawals because you haven't been getting enough cop complaints on the forums. The one thing we've seen that everybody, including us, has been kind of slacking off on is doing your best not to kill people who aren't a direct threat to you. A good example of this that I can see is a good example of this would be like someone evading in an unarmed effort. If we use a rocket launcher on an unarmed effort, it will kill all the occupants inside. It would be just like a regular car that's evading and is shooting out the passengers and killing them. So do your best with ones like that. Just the same way on foot. We had this complaint. We had 2 complaints on this. 2 weeks ago, Howie, where cops were like there was if like someone has their back to you. I actually edited this in the SOP because there's a lot of confusion. The sergeants had brought it up and discussed it, where like if someone's not a direct threat to you, and you can say, if you're in the middle of a shootout and someone's got their back to you and their weapon down or something, and you can tell them to put their hands up, try to do so. Don't just shoot in the back. So just keep it roleplay friendly. So let's see. We did have one complaint about someone using a rocket launcher on a person. Let's see what else. We had a complaint about it. It wasn't verified. We had a complaint about a cop using a rocket launcher and just a person evading. We weren't able to verify it though.
An AP, maybe?
How long ago was that?
Oh gosh, it was probably 10 days ago, Howie?
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yep. Last Wednesday.
That's our homework.
Okay. Let's talk about. Okay, this has happened twice, and there's really there's no real clarification. All right, this is what happens. We've had a few of these cases where the rebels steal a cop vehicle and they take it back to smugglers. And what's happened every single time is the cops get there, the rebels are there, and they don't know whether they can engage in RP or not. They don't know, can I shoot at each other because RP's still engaged because we're chasing our vehicle that fled, or can we just impound it, or are we trying to arrest people? Everybody gets so confused. And the last few times it's happened, like the cop helicopter lands and it just turns into a big clusterfuck. So if that ever happens, the kind of thing we're thinking now is, especially with the weapons not working in green zones, for rebels, if they make it back to smugglers with a police car, just let them have it. Don't worry about trying to go there and impound it or engage in RP. If they go there with that kind of vehicle, just because it just ends up getting too confusing for everybody. So don't worry about bothering with it. Let's see. We have a lot of new people, so I want to explain why. Oh, let me turn my thing down. I forgot to do that. There we go. I want to explain why we seize armored vehicles in town. So, as the way our server operates, if you've ever played on any other server, most of them, they operate under one of two paradigms. Either they're a server that has tons of weaponized and military vehicles, or they're a server that has none of it. How are you, hot, Megan? And the ones that have none of it, like you're lucky to get a really, really expensive Ifrit if you're lucky, and you never see them. Or the ones with militarized vehicles, when you log into that server, you see those things driving past the square. And what happens is, when people log in, if they see military vehicles everywhere, they're going to get the impression it's a milsim server, and they're going to move on. What happens is, the result of us having a policy of seizing armored vehicles that come to town is it keeps them out of town. Imagine if we didn't have that policy, and you spawned in, you drove to square, there'd be Ifrits lining the square, okay? And people would log in, and they would see those vehicles, and they would think to themselves, this is a milsim server, this is not a roleplay server. We don't want that. We like a mixed bag. We like our weaponized vehicles, we like our armored vehicles, but we also want our civ roleplay. That's why. So that's why we have a policy of doing that. Make sure, obviously you may have come across new people that aren't aware of that. Feel free to cut them a break and just let them leave town with their vehicle if they're not aware of that sort of thing. But that's why we generally have a policy of doing that, is to make it so that civs will log in and see, oh, this is a roleplay server, I can do this, but I still have these options to buy these things. So, okay, moving on. Any questions so far?
Nope, you're doing great.
Yes, sir.
All right, so moving on. Let's talk about rolling heavy. Let's talk about the weapon stuff. Okay, so we want the people who have the most interest in doing shooting type stuff doing those things. So that's why we did the weapon certification, so that those people who are skilled at it and who like doing that stuff can pursue that course of action. The same way people who get flight certified, when we have enough cops on, you do an air unit and you fly around and you help the cops with chases or whatever. So that's when we talk about this. So rolling heavy, what we want, it's not written anywhere yet, but if there's enough cops on, instead of when the rebel activity gets too crazy, what we want is for a single person or two people who are weapon certified, who can be that backup unit. If you guys have all played with 5 or 10 cops on, and the number one problem we all have is you call for backup and no one shows up or no one acknowledges it. You go to pull someone over and they're evading, you call for backup, and everybody's either busy on doing something else, or they're tied up, or they got NLR, or whatever the case is, and you get no backup. It's number one problem. The idea behind a heavy unit or a backup unit of weapon certified people is their only job is to do calls for backup. So if you're a heavy unit or a backup unit, whatever we want to call it, you're weapon certified, you're patrolling, you got your stuff, you're in a hunter or an unmarked vehicle or whatever the sergeant wants you in. What you do is you don't go investigating stuff. If you see people doing things, leave them alone. Just keep driving around and wait for one of the patrol units to call for backup, so that a patrol unit always has backup when he needs it. Because obviously, like I said, that's the biggest problem we all have is that, and it's so disheartening, is when you call for backup and no one's able to come help you. And that solves that so well if we have someone who's dedicated to doing that sort of thing. So typically, try not to do that, or sergeants try not to authorize that unless there's at least 6 or 7 cops on. We want a good substantial number of patrol units to balance out the backup unit. As far as weapons, on the backup unit, whatever you're certified with on your weapon level, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, that's what you carry when you're doing that backup unit. So if you're authorized for 2, you can carry your Cyrus, whatever, if you want. Just make sure, like we talked about, like I mentioned a minute ago, with armored vehicles being seen by civilians, if you're in a hunter being that backup unit, do your best to minimize your visibility. You don't want new civs logging in, seeing that hunter drive up and down the square going, oh, this is a MilSim server. Stay on the back roads, stuff like that. Don't park at the square, things like that. Okay. Any questions about that?
Yes, sir.
Nope.
Go for it. All right.
Well,
Moving on.
I had a question. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
It's not a problem. All right. So my question regards this whole heavy unit thing. Let's say a unit is in a police chase and they call for backup. Would you want that hunter to be involved in the chase too? Because I know sometimes it can get a bit hectic where, the hunter can blow up cars right next to them. Because that just happened to me when I was in a chase and the backup unit got called in and they accidentally hit me and I blew up.
Okay. It's whatever you think will best utilize it for. It's totally up to you as a sergeant. So what we're eliminating with this is the fact that people aren't getting the backup they need. So if you think it's going to help that person get the backup they need, then that's what you use it for.
See, if I might add something, we used a Cavallo reaction force for the first time the other night, and it goes with that same thing. We used a Strider. How did you feel about the way we were engaging, like pursuit-wise, on another Strider?
Okay. It's just. Nothing's perfect. You're doing. Everybody's got their goals. So yeah, if you have whatever the situation is, if it's a Strider like you're talking about, whatever means you can to best stop it or do that job, then that's fine. Just what we want is the sergeants and corporals basically determining where it needs to go, what it needs to do. So, all right.
Okay, thanks.
Well, though.
And we've done it before. We've done it back in January and December. We did it a bunch, where we had a single backup unit, stayed on the back roads, and did nothing but respond to calls for backup, and it helped with that problem where people weren't getting the backup they need. Because obviously we all want to do our RP. We want to, pull people over and talk to people and this and that. But when time comes for backup, it's hard when everybody's, splotched out on the map doing different stuff, talking to different people and tied up. So, okay, continuing on. Let's talk about the fact that there All right. We've had this happen a few times. I get probably one complaint, maybe 2 complaints a month about this. People charging people with rape. Obviously, there's role play ability to do that. Let's just not. We get too many complaints about people accusing us of different stuff. Even though the ability to charge people with rape is in the wanted database, don't charge people with it. We're going to see if we can take it out or get rid of it. But in the meantime, even though it's there, just don't use it. Let's see.
I have a question real quick, Toast, if that's fine.
Yep, go ahead.
This kind of regards the last thing a little bit, and my apologies if you're going to go over this later, but another thing that is a bit disheartening, as you were saying earlier, is when I am patrolling and there are, 8 or 9 people in the channel, but there's only like 4 cops that are actually patrolling, but they're all in the patrol channel. So it seems that people are kind of AFKing or just hanging out in the patrol channel and they're not able to respond, and that's just kind of annoying to me, if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that could happen sometimes.
Just if I could touch on one quick thing real fast.
Yes, sir. Go for it.
So if we are going down the street and you see a couple of people, like they may be friends or whatnot, and they're like role playing, like, "Oh my God, he's raping me, help!" and we walk by, how do you want us to handle that? Because
just don't pretend that rape charge is not.
Stop trying to rob this person. Step away from.
Well, you can say rape. You can, if they're talking about rape, you're fine to talk about rape.
Okay.
Right? I'm just saying, don't use that rape charge that's in the computer.
Don't escalate on that.
If they want to try to accuse somebody of it, ignore that portion of the role play. They're not talking about it.
Yeah, let's say that you get this guy for his legal weapon, and he was accused of raping someone, right, with an RP, and you bring him back to the station. Just charge him for the legal weapon. Don't add rape charges anymore.
Quick question. What if we was to add it as malicious mischief? Because, I mean, that could be classified as a charge.
Yeah, just what happens is people, because there's not certain degrees of evidence for that kind of behavior, that's probably the number one charge complaint we get from rebels coming in the help channel or on the forums or PMing us saying, they charged me with rape, but we were just talking about that sort of thing, or whatever. Or someone accused me of it, but I obviously wasn't trying to do any motions, Okay. Obviously there isn't, our system isn't perfect. We don't have a charge for everything we may have reason to charge people with. I don't think there's an attempted vehicular manslaughter in our computer. Like, there's other small examples like that. If it's a valid roleplay device charge of, like, I'm going to use the example of attempted vehicular manslaughter. It's okay to roleplay that and give them a ticket for it. Just keep it small. And keep it roleplay friendly. There's a zillion other examples you can think of, but just keep it roleplay friendly and don't keep it too pricey. I would say maybe 10 or 20,000 or something like that
for attempted vehicle manslaughter.
Yeah, I mean that's just a hypothetical example.
Sorry for interrupting, but I mean, wouldn't that classify under attempted murder if you don't have an active charge?
Sure, but we don't want to. We don't want to end up trying to overcharge them. Yeah, maybe you could use attempted murder or something, but
like 50 grand, I think.
But feel free to role play a terminology that's not exactly perfect or not exactly in there, as long as it's roleplay friendly.
Toast, if I could say something real quick.
Yep.
Would it be possible to resync the police guide with all of the current laws with the one in game, like the police computer?
Yeah, I am 100% for that. It's a matter of, it's a development issue, and at the same time, I need to rewrite our current police charges to match what's in there at the same time. So it's a task that we actually talked about this about a month ago, Howie, of getting that rewritten so it matches properly. That'll be on my to-do list. Actually, I think I already started on it at one point.
Me and Mr. Pines would be down to help with doing that, but we'd have to get some form of access to it. But that's something me and Pines actually talked about a night or two ago.
Okay, continuing on. Okay, for those of you guys that are newer, we always say in the interview that we ask that you rectify your mistakes and you will not be scrutinized. So you could RDM someone on accident and you rectify your mistake and no one's going to scrutinize you. What we mean by that is, let's say you RDM someone on accident. Let's say you're trying to shoot out a tire and you accidentally kill the guy. Or let's say you thought this guy was part of the people engaged in RP and he wasn't. You killed him. And afterwards your supervisor goes, that guy wasn't involved. Whatever. So a good example of rectifying that mistake would be to revive him. If he lost his primary weapon, talk to him about what he lost and send him some compliment RPs over. Obviously, we say something like that in the SOPs. Just be a good sport about it. At the same time, to tag along with what I'm saying there, all of our command staff are given a small fund to reimburse you guys for stuff like that. If you make an honest mistake, and you need to comp someone, talk to, and it puts you down below and you're not getting enough tickets or whatever to maintain a certain financial level, and you're not spending all your money on Rebel, let us know. We will reimburse you. This is the most common thing we do, reimburse for, is when you have to pay out hostage situations. If you pay $300,000 out per cop for 3 cops on a hostage situations, let any command staff member know that what you had to pay out, and they will get you reimbursed, because obviously that can really hit your pocketbook sometimes. Any other command staff, any examples of being a good sport and for accidental RDMs and stuff like that? No? Okay.
I have a question about the hostage situations.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's changed since then, but are we supposed to pay out if it's more than 250K? Because I thought you had to have command staff approval to pay out more than that.
No, there's nothing official on that. I've paid, I think the most I usually am willing to pay out is $500,000, and it's got to be really good. Howie jokes that you better pay him $1 million if he's hostage, but
I would.
No, there's nothing official on that. Just try. Obviously, our goal is to not let the rebel get too much money, right? Because we don't want them being banked and being able to buy all the fancy shit, right? Yeah, so,
if they send you something like you need to wire transfer this much money in 5 minutes or he dies, end of negotiations, ignore it. Let the person die, because that's not roleplay friendly. That's them refusing to do the roleplay. They just want the money out of the situation.
I'll give you an example. I typically will. They'll come back. They'll tell me a nil, and I'll come back. Oh, the most I can pay is 150K, and then they'll come back again, and I'll say, well, I can do 200, and they'll go back and forth for 5 minutes. And don't wire transfer money because hostage negotiations are a roleplay device. Do your best to meet them in person and exchange the money. And if they're not willing to meet in person and do a direct exchange, then you couldn't make a deal, and that poor person has to pass away. But sometimes the rebels' demands are out of the range of what our scope, and so we just have to live with that. But yeah, I typically won't pay more than $300,000-$400,000 per person. And if it's a cop, I'll go towards that high. If it's a civ, I tend to be a little less trustful that it's not a friend of theirs. Obviously, we don't. That's a fail RPing. It's not something you necessarily need to concern ourselves with, but it does happen sometimes. I don't pay as much for a random civ as I would a cop, but it's entirely up to you guys. Okay, and it's fair if you're willing to do the negotiation and you meet them and you exchange and you're unarmed, it's fail RP on their part to try to take you hostage. So you can report them for that. Okay. Continuing on. At the same time, if you guys get low on cash and you're playing cop, not that you're spending your money on Rebel, but if you get low, any command staff can make sure you have enough money to do what you need. So
what is considered low?
Below $500,000.
All right.
If you're on cop and you're spending your money on cop and not on Rebel, and you need to buy a Hummingbird, let us know. We're going to get you set back up.
Damn.
Okay. Let's see. Everybody, make sure your forum name matches your cop name. Make sure it's not like something completely different, so that we can find you on the forums.
How do I change that? Maybe a stupid question.
If you hit your name when you log in and go to, I believe it's my profile, or sorry, my settings. In my settings, you can scroll through to your display name.
There's a way to
I'll
change
fix it right now then.
Just make sure it's at least about 80% matches your cop name. Isaac the One is fine for Isaac.
Well, I mean, like mine's Lone Wolf, which some people still get messed up.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Like for example, I signed up to the forums with Steam, and you need your password to change your display name, so I can't really do it then.
Yeah, I can't do that.
If that has happened to any of you, just send it to one of the admins. What you want it to be to, what your current profile name is, what you want it to be changed to. We can get on and edit it for you.
Yep.
All right.
I'll ask you guys another time.
Who do we send that to again?
Any
admin.
any administrator.
Your current name and what you want it to change to.
I got a question.
Okay.
What's the
Yes, sir.
rule on armored vehicles outside of the city limit?
We are not
armored.
the Cavala Police.
Not
We are the
armed.
Altis Police.
Okay,
It's
as
illegal
far
all
as
over there.
as far as armored, it's not against the law to have it armored outside the city limits. Weaponized.
No.
Oh no, yeah, weaponized.
Weaponized is illegal everywhere. So if you are in Agios and you see an armed Hellcat flying over, if you wanted to take the time to do it, you could order them to land so they could be ticketed for an illegal, the illegal firearms major for the the weaponized vehicle, and seize their helicopter if you wanted to take the time to. Yeah, obviously, sometimes that is a bigger task than most of us have time for. Every once in a while, we've had a Strider HMG go through town that we take the time to, go after and hunt down viciously. Okay, continuing on. Make sure. Okay, this is something that tends to confuse even myself. Is that make sure, and it says this in the SOPs. Make sure and always taser in the green zone. Obviously, we say in the interview, and you're trained to use your lethal weapon in a lethal firefight. If there's someone mass RDMing at the square, even though they're using their lethal weapon, whip out your taser him. Take them back to PD or tell an admin they're mass RDMing. If there's no admin, then, do what you need to do to, figure out what you need to figure out. We trust you guys to figure out.
I have a quick question about the green zone.
Yes,
What if we tell a vehicle to pull over in green zone? I just want to clarify. No shooting tires, period, in green zone?
See, we actually were talking about this the other day, because it can, obviously, rebels, the backstory is that I'll no longer, ever since last August, we changed the rule so that sirens are no longer initiation. So we allow sirens will give you the ability to disable a vehicle. However, sirens do not give you the ability for either party to use initiated lethal force towards one another. So if a vehicle's disabled by the police, the rebels or the police have to get out, and at least one party has to initiate on the other to use lethal force.
If we were to use our to disable a vehicle or gun in a green zone, would initiation be allowed to get in a gunfight in green zone?
No, and
yeah, that's where I think it's confusing.
It's
I think period. Maybe it shouldn't just be allowed, but
Yep, and that's
there
where
are ways we can work around it.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting to next is maybe in cases where we'd have enough confusion about using lethal weapons in green zone that maybe it's just a good idea to not try to fiddle with using lethal weapons in a green zone.
We had an incident. Somebody started shooting tires, and the guy just got out and just wrecked, 3 cops. That's fine, but, he could have shot civs, RDMs, complaints, all that stuff.
Yep. So it's still, from a technical standpoint, you can still do your best not to try to shoot out tires in a green zone. Obviously, the Cavala Square green zone is small enough try to go 50 feet one direction or the other, so that you're not freaking out all those civs that are standing there.
Yep.
Toast. Oh, just quickly. So, how would you feel if somebody ran over a cop in green zone and tried to run, and you have no units there to chase after the guy? Like he's in the car though, and he ran you over, and then he starts to drive away.
It's an
and you
attempt
have
on your life.
no
That's
back.
self-defense.
Yeah. Would you be okay? Would you be okay with at the tires then?
The technical explanation is this. It's the same thing we have to tell the rebels when there's a mass RDM or when they're at their purchase menu at Smugglers or North Rebel, is that anytime you are using your lethal weapon against someone breaking a server rule, you're technically taking enforcement of the server rules into your own hands, which is something that we are not allowed to condone. So what you would do is instead report... What I have to tell you is that you would instead report it to an admin. If they're breaking a server rule, just report it to a staff member instead of trying to take them out.
Hey, Toast.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Within roleplay, could you not consider that an attempt in your life, and that would be self-defense?
It's a green zone.
The problem is they have not initiated on you.
True.
They are breaking the server rule on you.
At the same time, you also say that if your life is in immediate danger, you should defend yourself. So that's where that question comes in.
Yeah, it's a green zone though. That's the thing. It's
obviously, one party needs to initiate on the other for lethal engagement to happen. If that didn't occur, then there's someone breaking a server rule.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Now that's all the bad stuff and reminders we got. Okay, so we're instead of trolling all the people we're gonna promote, like we've done to all you poor souls that we've promoted in the past.
We're just not gonna promote anybody.
We are gonna promote people in the meeting instead. At the same time, before we do that, I also want to acknowledge all of the FTOs that have been really working hard the last 2 weeks. I may have missed one or two, and Thomas, if I miss one, please let me know. What we are going to do, let me pull up my list here. So Blue, Isaac, Duck Hunter, and Russell. We have given you may have noticed it already. I had Hunter Guibo do it just a while ago. We're giving you a $3 million bonus. I know it's not much, but we gave you a few mil in game, just as a show of our appreciation for because I know it can be very exhausting, taking all the time to train those guys. I think I may have missed one. I think I may have missed Kronos. No, Kronos is the sergeant. We weren't doing the sergeants, just corporals and below.
You missed Jake.
Oh, I missed Jake. You're right. I needed to do Jake. Thank you.
You already got your money for the undercover mission, Betsy. We have the logs for it.
All right. Okay, so promotions. How we did before I get to promotions? Did anyone else, any command staff, anything to bring up?
Stupid. I did have something I want to bring up, but go ahead, Thomas.
I gotta get the tag made, but starting as soon as the tag's made, I will be handing out a second level of FTO. The nickname instructor, and your job will be to assist me and whoever I pick a sergeant in the interviews. And you will also be training the new FTOs as they come in to make sure they do a good job.
Sounds
obvious.
Did we already go over combat restraints?
Go for it.
If people have their gun out, you guys need to start knocking them out or something first before you restrain them, because otherwise it's the same effective as a taser. It's not fair when they have all that gear and stuff and they're trying to shoot you guys and someone just runs in and restrains them. It's not cool. It's shitty RP. Punch them in the face and then while they're unconscious, restrain them or something.
So don't just walk up to somebody.
Don't just run up and restrain everybody.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question about that real quick? Sorry for interrupting, Toast.
Go ahead.
With that,
Can I say something on that effect?
Hang on.
First.
Hang on. Go ahead.
Okay, so you
Okay,
are...
so-
Wait, who's talking?
Hold on, Keith.
Duck Hunter is talking.
Duck Hunter,
Duck Hunter talk.
Okay, great. So this has been like kind of on and off. I've heard different sides of this, but we are allowed to run up to someone if they are a hostile threat, knock them out, and then restrain them immediately. That is allowed.
Here's what we're looking for. Yes. Okay. So let's say we're looking for roleplay, right? So like we say in the interview, it wouldn't be like a cop who's being shot at. What, baby? My child is up. A cop who's being shot at by a criminal would not pull out their taser and try to taser. What, baby?
No offense, guys. Sorry, Dose, cut you off. But a walk-up restraint would be something like a tackle, like a football star would do. Walk up, and just tackle them.
So that's what we're.
So you come up behind them and you tackle them, and then you restrain.
Well, that's
them.
what the knockout.
Yeah, that's
is
what we're talking
simulating.
about. So we're asking, what happens is. Obviously, one person is initiating the cops have initiated the rebel, and you're about to get into a shootout with each other, and you're just so close enough you can physically restrain them. Obviously, the rebels just get super
They get
livid.
upset because somebody walks up behind them and
exactly. So instead to keep it roleplay friendly, you're tackling them or whatever. You're knocking them down to get those handcuffs on their back. So So if you are engaged if you are initiated on one another, and you're close enough, you can knock them down to hit Shift R on them. Yes.
Wouldn't you have to roleplay before knocking them out, just like a rebel has to roleplay before knocking out those?
No, I'm saying if you've already initiated on them.
Unless they're shooting. I mean, the same rules would apply to everything. Like, say they're just being normal on the street. But if they're shooting at somebody, you can walk up and tackle them and take them out. They're, they're gonna blame on the police.
Sir, put your gun down, or I'm gonna have to use force.
Yeah, so if either party is initiating each other, instead of just combat restraining them, knock them down to restrain them. Or if you have your taser in your hands, taser them if you don't want to have to shoot them.
Okay, I got something.
Yes,
that brings up a good point. Yesterday, I also had a situation happen like that. There were 4 individuals. I got 3 of them. Snuck up on the last one, and he didn't know I was around. So instead of walking up and restraining him, I tased first and then restrained. Are you alright with the tasers, or should I just shot him anyway?
No, that'd be perfect. If you're initiated lethals, if you're initiated where they can kill you, but they're not a direct threat, a tasering is a great option because just within RP. So like it'd be would a cop do that in real life? Absolutely. So, okay, continuing on.
So something else in that kind of same area.
I have something else to say about that too.
All right, go ahead, Moon. We'll wait.
So I've had 2 scenarios where I've basically tackled somebody past day or 2. Basically, I've gone up on top of Wi-Fi and been the negotiator and just tackled them. Is that fine, or? I mean, I just talk them down basically, and then when they turn their back, jump over and tackle them. Is that perfectly okay, or?
Should we taser them first before we handcuff them, guys? That's really what it comes down to. Should we taser them, or should we walk upon them and restrain them?
Well, what we're looking for is that narrow circumstance where that rebel is trying to kill you, and you just happen to run into each other when you turned around the same wall. You guys all know what I'm talking about. Like you've initiated.
Example, if someone got out of a car, if you're right next to a car, you're by the driver's side. There's an armed guy in the car. He gets out and just immediately starts shooting, and you restrain him. Like as soon as he starts shooting when he gets out of the car, that'd be a combat restraint. Yes, you cannot do that.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, if someone is looking a different direction and you're sneaking up through the bushes, as long as you're initiated, you can go up there and knock them out and then restrain them, or you can tase them and restrain them as long as you're within RP. What we're trying to prevent is the combat restraints. Does that clear it up for everyone?
Actually, I'm talking about people that are sniping. I come up behind them. They're sniping towards other officers. And should I taser him and walk up, restrain him, or should I just walk over and restrain him?
Even if there's a guy just running around you who you're trying to detain, if he's running around in circles around you, don't just shift R restrain him. Knock him out and restrain him. Because how are you going to get a cuff on somebody who's running around your car?
Yep. Yeah. All we're saying is, that narrow circumstance where you run into each other, and the guy is pulling the trigger trying to kill you, and you shift arm him. That's all we're trying to stop.
Just use common sense, guys.
It's a tiny, narrow thing that rarely happens.
Any officer in real life ain't gonna put the cuffs on a guy who is already shooting a gun that fast.
A quick question. If
Yes,
we
sir.
have, say, there's a police response to a gas robbery, the guy inside his tear gas can't see anything and he's stationary. If we run in to restrain him, is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah.
But what do you think about doing that, but also tackling? Would that be better roleplay?
We're just saying that all we're looking for is the rebels are asking for a degree of roleplay friendliness when they're pulling the trigger on you. Obviously, just slapping cuffs on them without knocking them to the ground while they're shooting at you is not roleplay friendly. So
I agree with the roleplay friendly.
If you guys, so to prevent a million questions and scenarios being asked at this point, just remember that you guys were told if you make a mistake and you attempt to rectify it will not be scrutinized. If you do this, if you combat restrain somebody or you tackle them and restrain them, and you think, actually, I shouldn't have done that, you can absolutely just tell them out of roleplay, I'm sorry, I don't think I should have done that, I'm going to go ahead and let you go now. You can always do that. If you can ask your supervisor, this is what I did, should I have done that? If they say no, you can tell the rebel, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. My bad. You can always do that.
Yeah. Any
Perfect. I agree with that.
Can always be directed to supervisors as well.
I agree with that too.
You guys don't need
100%.
to ask a million questions and scenarios. Can I do this? Can I do that? When in doubt, leave it out. If you think you made a mistake, rectify it. No problems.
But you get the rebels who are gonna.
All right, let's move on.
Restrain them. They're gonna.
I think we're just
say
going to keep
they're
going back and forth.
Okay.
Hey, you guys.
Time for the dead.
I do have a quick question about SWAT. So we have the 3 levels, but I don't know if SWAT's been here for a while. I'm kind of a new guy. So what is with SWAT?
Okay. All right. So SWAT has been tried and been unsuccessful in the past as far as being a roleplay friendly device. Whether it was there was 5 slots on the SWAT team and a few people got picked. It just has never worked and functioned the way we'd always liked it to. So that's why we changed it a bit. So SWAT is a open system that anybody can earn on their own prerogative based on their skill. So you can get to SWAT level within 4 weeks of being hired. That was the design of our the way we're doing it now. So that if you want, in 4 weeks from time, yes, we know there's some hang-ups with it, which we are dealing with, so that within a month or 2 of being hired, you can be wearing that SWAT uniform, you own that SWAT hunter, and you can roleplay as such. So, and you can be that heavy backup unit that's in full SWAT gear, which is awesome. So that's what we want. That's what we're going for. We will make sure that Chaywin desperately needs, he's been hurt right now, and he's having computer issues. So he really does need a second hand, someone who can help him out. I know Keegan talked about doing it before, and I know there's a few sergeants that have had a lot of interest in being a trainer, tester type person. So hopefully we get that solved very, very soon, because that is the number one front thing on our burner right now to fix, because we want more people to see level 2, level 3, and SWAT tags. Okay.
Can I say something real quick, Toast? Or
what's that? Yeah, go for it.
I just want to say real quick, this is mostly to my sergeants who are here right now. I've been bugging a lot of you about my role player of the week thing for the APD this document. For all the other officers that aren't aware of it, just keep up the great roleplay, guys. Get yourself spotted, and I don't know if you've noticed, we do a contest every week to see who has been doing the best roleplay that week. So keep it up, and at my supervisors and command staff, please keep giving me reports, because it's been kind of weak. I've gotten 1 report of good roleplay in the past week and a half now.
Okay. Are we ready to do promotions, Howie?
I don't think so. I think we should delay it some more.
Yeah, we need some more delay.
Ahead. Somebody bring something else up.
I'm already sweating enough. Let's
questions again.
All right. Okay, so there are 2 sergeant slots, and I think there's a handful of corporal slots. So obviously, we had 5 or 6 people we liked for sergeant. We went ahead and we picked the 2 most active out of those 5. So the 2 people we chose to promote to sergeant is Blue and Nate Gomez.
Nice.
Congrats. Congratulations,
Yeah,
guys.
So,
Congrats, guys.
Color squad.
so everybody we promote, we need you to stick around after the meeting so we can explain some things.
All right.
To segue.
Yep. All right. So corporals, we picked 1, 2, 3, 4 corporals. I think. Oh, did we do 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, for corporal, we did Thelonious. Is he here?
I don't think he made. I think he told me he
Couldn't make it. Okay.
He told one of
Thelonious, Duck Hunter.
Damn. All right.
Wolf.
Look at that.
And Wolf and Rez.
Congrats,
for
guys.
now. So
Nice job, guys.
there's still some corporal positions open, which we would like to fill.
It's not Wolfie, it's Wolf, correct?
Yeah, Wolf, not Wolfie.
Bye, Betsy.
So there are still some corporal positions we would like to fill. So we'll reconvene in a week or 2. We usually do it every 2 weeks to talk about people we can promote. To see those remaining people we like, to see if we can promote them to that. We don't want to stack. We don't want to stack the channel and our roster with too many supervisors. It gets out of balance and it causes other issues. So we actually have more corporals and sergeants than we ever had before. We used to have 8 sergeant slots. We expanded it to 10 back in February. And then I think we added 2 or 3 corporal slots back in February as well. We never had this many before. So so you guys that we promoted, we need to stick around after the meeting so we can re-whitelist you and go over like how the supervisor stuff works. Anybody else have anything else?
Also, kind of obvious given by who was promoted there, but I've decided to hire Blue as the FTO sergeant.
All right.
Congratulations,
Hey,
buddy.
my man.
So Blue
Double rank up.
Blue will help. Anyone who wants to be an FTO can now they can talk to Blue just the same way they would talk to Thomas about what the stuff is, and then Blue can. Is that right? Blue can also determine to make them an FTO on his own, right?
That's correct.
All right. Okay.
Am I supposed to say anything? Do I have like a speech? I'm supposed to say?
Sure, if you have.
Speech. Man, no one gives a fuck
All
what
right.
you have to say.
Speech.
Salvatore.
Salvatore's being honest.
Salvatore, you're never getting FTO, bro.
Oh shit.
Damn.
Man, you.
Okay.
Poor
All right. So I think that's about. Did somebody get a screenshot of this epic?
I have gotten
Yep.
at least 25 million.
Okay. All right.
I think it's grown though.
Did you? Yeah. Get another one. Post it in the shout box.
Yep.
All right, me and Fraser both already did.
Yep.
All right. This is
I've
the
gotten another
biggest. This is where Banger is supposed to serenade us with a song about how he's SOPs, and he's not here.
So Toast got to sing it.
Does someone?
Yeah, Toast sing.
All right. So we need a really good joke to close the meeting. Who's got the
I'm
joke?
that guy.
No, I got it. I got it. My Here we life. go. You ready? Here we go. So there's this young 16-year-old girl. She was really pretty. She was really fine and everything else. And one day she was walking home from school. Terrible thing happened. She got
This isn't gonna end well.
taken over. She got taken hostage, and she got raped. It was really bad. It sucked. And years later, rather down the line a little bit, the man visited her again, and he shot her 3 times in the stomach. She was having triplets. And he's just a crazy person. Shot her 3 times in the stomach, 1 for each baby. And 9 months later, the doctors weren't going to be sure if the babies were going to be all right. They were really worried. They were really, oh my gosh. But they were born fine. No marking, no disfigurations. It was great. It was a miracle. Praise Jesus, whatever. So about 14 years later, one of the girls comes rushing into her mom's room and she says, Mom, I'm freaking out. I don't know what's happening right now. I just peed out a bullet. And her mom's thinking back to when they were born. And she's like, don't worry. It's totally normal. It's like a buildup of iron in your stomach. It happens to everybody. It's totally fine. The girl is really relieved. And second girl comes in. It was 2 girls and a guy. Second girl comes in like a week and a half later. She's crying, just bawling. She says, Mom, I just peed out a bullet. I don't know what's going on. Mom, she's got it down. She's got, got her story straight. She's like, no, it's totally fine. It's normal. It's your body's going through a lot of changes. This is just the first one. It's totally okay. She's super relieved. That's great. All right. About 2 weeks later, the boy runs in. He is bawling, losing his mind, can't be consoled. And she's like, what's wrong? She's like, Mom, I was jerking off and I shot our dog.
That joke is older than everybody in this channel except for me and Toast.
Hey, I got one though.
Oh god.
A kid walked up to his dad.
Bro, I'm pretty on myself.
Oh my god.
A kid walked up to his dad and said, "Hey, I had a problem at school today, but I solved it." And the dad was like, "Oh, what was it?" And he was like, "Oh, here's your gun back."
Wow.
Not okay.
Not a
Real
great
quick,
way to end your meeting.
Alright, so a lot of the command staff already know this one.
That was amazing.
But
okay. All right. So.
Oh, what?
Howie has something to say.
I was gonna say a joke. I guess no one wants to hear it now.
I want to say a joke.
I want to hear it.
Jeez Louise, we got
Go
a
ahead,
car
Vince.
build up.
Alright, so I told God a Holocaust joke. He didn't laugh. And after a moment of awkward silence, I said, well, I guess you should have been there.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's
wow. That was terrible.
That was
I'm
deep.
about to
That was
ban you
deep.
for terribleness.
Hey, just a quick question. So the meeting is still going on, or we're pretty much done?
We are done.
Still do
All
whatever
right,
you want to do.
well, thanks for the
All right,
meeting,
everybody
guys.
go on
and,
cut the video.
all right. Have a nice one, guys.
All
Good
cops
night,
get
guys.
on. Come
See-
on. I am fully capable of moving my own arm.
Okay. So we need to have a sergeant's meeting, and we're gonna have it this week.